What's going on, gamers? Hopefully everyone's been enjoying gaming. I definitely have for sure. Gaming every day as usual. But we got some news here about the Steam Machine verified requirements. It is a little concerning, as we pretty much probably thought about this when you looked at the specifications. It said it's not even more powerful than a PS5. The PS5 Pro PSSR 2, when you think about the price performance value versus what this thing's going to be, because we know it's minimum $700, maybe more, and a fourth of your hard drive or SSD space, 512. What is the 2 terabyte going to be? When the Pro has a 2 terabyte, it's gonna blow it out the water. And it's hard not to look at it that way because we're just talking about price performance. I don't care if you call it a PC. I don't care if you call it a lunchbox. You see what I mean? Or a GameCube, doesn't matter. It's price performance value here. Unless you're just a Steam fanboy or addicted to, um, the Steam tag with all your games on there, which there's nothing wrong with that. But we're talking here neutrally speaking. The Steam Machine verify requirements target native 1080p, native, and 30 frames. So if you're going to be getting native 1080p on a PC, which a lot of people do, you're going to be getting 30 frames per second gameplays for most games. Now think about newer games coming out. Yeah, I think the best that you're possibly ever going to get is that you're going to need FSR. And it's not going to be able to do FSR 4, stuff that the Pro is doing. And it's a little concerning thinking about it. Whereas you see PSSR 2 on the PS5 Pro, $700 original price, $750, $650 in that holiday deal, which was crazy for a whole month, is going to be doing upscale 4K 60 with ray tracing high on Crimson Desert, 4K 60 on Resident Evil Requiem upscaled, and native 1800p 60 frames per second ray tracing before PSSR 2 came out on Ghost of Yotei. And then like this thing is coming out on the market, it's not more powerful than a PS5. And they already told you $700 range at least. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, that's why I'm saying I think when it comes to this and the Xbox Helix, they're kind of like in the same ballpark. The difference is that Steam has a good track record with its consumers on the PC market. They're going to have loyalists that are going to support this regardless, which is like a little mini PC you can carry around with you. I think when you think about that and the Steam identity and it not being Windows, people are going to like that about it. But like I said, when I look at it compared to the PS5 Pro, I don't see why I would ever want to waste my time with it. That's the system I want to invest into, neutrally speaking. And you guys know I like all consoles, all manufacturers, because one, I don't want to get something that's coming out in 2026 that's going to be this week. When the next year, at the end of the year, if that's even possible, the new consoles may come out. Both. I think Xbox will come out before PlayStation. And then the year following that, you're even seeing the gap difference in it. And it's still going to be around the price range of them. I'm like, oh my God, and the 2 terabyte might be even more expensive than the PS6 of the Steam Machine. Once they can lower it down, right? I mean, I don't know what to tell you about this. And then the PS5 Pro is going to have to get cheaper, or they're going to discontinue it and not focus on it because they want people to focus on the PS6. So I don't think Sony will do that because they've kept around other models. But I think at least for a year or two after the PS6 launches, the Pro will be around at a reduced price. And then, like, if you're looking at the Steam Machine, you're like, hmm? And you don't have PlayStation 5 games. You're not getting them anymore. You're not getting any PS6 games, too. And what would you run them on? You know what I mean? So that's all going away. This is what makes the value of this even lesser now, along with the Xbox Helix, right? Because it's like things are just stripping away and the value's going up. And this is not necessarily Valve's fault because they have to charge more for this, but they're not going to subsidize. But it's like the whole market gets screwed in a lot of ways. That's why I think a small delay on the Project Helix and a small delay on the PS6 is going to have to happen because you just need to rebalance that. But it's not going to be like a crazy delay. I think like 3 to 6 months or something from initial launch. If it was 2027, then maybe summer 2028 or something like that. Probably the latest, late 2028 for PS6. I think Xbox can get out ahead because it doesn't really matter. It's not going to need to be on the market to keep mass supplying. But yeah, I mean, this video is going to be about that. Like PSSR 2 is literally going to just embarrass the Steam Machine when it comes to price value. Going down to some of these comments, it says some people seem to think that this is the best the Steam Machine can do. Dude, it's not more powerful than a PS5. When you were thinking about 1080p, you were thinking about why were games like Starfield getting it on the Series X? And there's games coming out more powerful than that, right? But it's all about optimization. This guy really believes, he says, but that's not what that means. It means the minimum requirements for games to get verified for the Steam machine. Obviously, a lot of games will be able to run at 4K 60. Okay, guys, this is what I like to call somebody who's highly delusional. The reason why I have to say this is because that's like saying the PlayStation 5 will be running games at 4K 60. Do you seriously believe that? Because it's not more powerful than a PS5. And it's not more powerful than a Series X. And they're not running no games at 4K 60 frames per second. They said native 1080p, not upscaled. So it'll probably be able to do upscaled stuff at like 1440 or 1200 for like some game like Call of Duty or something. But even then, whatever the PS5 can't do, this thing is not going to be able to do. I don't understand why he's not understanding that. You can't even say every game will do that on the PS5 Pro. Or PSSR 2, it makes things more possible, upscaled. So I don't understand where this logic comes in. Shiler makes sense. Why would I buy that then? Here's the thing. If you're coming into the console space, why would you be looking to pay for those type of specs that were available in 2020 at $500 with exclusives? This thing may launch with no exclusive. It's the same thing that's already on PC. That's what I don't understand. Like, they have to have something like Half-Life 3 or something. Otherwise, I don't get it. 1080p, 30 frames per second. Even the consoles are moving away from that now. No one is going to buy this. We don't even really need Steam OS no more. Build a cheap budget PC and stick Cashy OS or something on there. Easy. Well, the thing is, I like Steam OS. I think I would like to see laptops have that and desktops have that with Linux. I think that would be very good until Microsoft gets Windows together. Mac OS is way better than Windows. It is concerning how many people can understand what they read. 1080p 30 frames per second is the minimum requirement for the GameCube really ready badge on the Steam store page of the game. I get what you're saying, but people are pretty much getting the point here. I had high hopes for the Steam machine, but 1080p 30 frames per second, my phone gets better performance than that. Boy, I'm glad I trusted my gut and built a PC instead of waiting for the Steam machine. Yeah, dude, what do you expect? Like I said, look at the PlayStation 5 and see what it's able to do, and it pretty much gives you the idea of the Steam machine and the Series X. And that was back in 2020. We're 6 years later, and they're getting ready to launch something like that that's more expensive than them. I don't understand. Well, if the Steam machine will have PSSR 2 like PS6 or AMD FSR 4 and upscale to 1080p to 2K or 4K, then it should be okay. No, dude, it has to have RDNA 4 feats for that. At the pricing rumors we heard for 1080p and 30 frames per second, it's a crap box, he's saying. So why upgrade from a Steam Deck? Oh, well, it's going to be, I mean, the PS5 is a lot more powerful than the Steam Deck. That's what it's like, they're saying, oh, it's 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. What? Okay, I can say the same thing for the PlayStation 5 and the same thing for the Series X, and the PS5 Pro is probably like 10 times. You see what I mean? But what does that really mean when we're really looking at like the baseline comparison of price point performance? Because that's what matters more than anything. People, what is the performance? Oh, I can go spend this over here then. How many people are buying the Pros? Not like crazy. It's picking up though now because the value is actually going higher and higher. But the more I look at this, the more I just don't care. If you would have had FSR 4 feats and been more powerful than the Series X and the PlayStation 5 and closer to the PS5 Pro, it would have been a lot more attractive. But like, you know, I don't know, like 20 gigs of RAM or something, and you know, the CPU is fine, but it should have been 8 cores with that. And like I said, the GPU should have been more powerful. But me looking at this, I'm like, they're trying to pull a Nintendo, but you don't have Nintendo's identity in games. Like, you don't have games like they're releasing consistently. It's an extension of what's already available on the PC market. That's my problem with the Steam machine. I'm not beating it down for anyone, you know, to not get excited for this. If that's what you want to get excited for, sure, go ahead. But you guys have to understand what I'm saying, neutrally speaking here. That when I think about PSSR 2 right now, like, I don't understand why I would even ever be excited for this, because I don't need it. And I can get all the Xbox games on there that Steam is getting. You're not getting the exclusives of PS5, and you're not getting the exclusives of PS6. And you're going to be almost the same price as the Pro? Yeah, I think I'm good. But for anybody who's excited for it, hey, man, go right for it. But I don't know, I even think the Xbox Helix would be more attractive than this, because at least if you're going to pay that much more for something that's around that price, like the Steam machine, you will be getting way better specs. But the PS6 over all of it, unless you're just impatient and don't want to wait, because it's probably going to launch, of course, later than the Helix. And you're like, I can get this right now, and then I get the PS6 next year. You know what I mean? The difference is you don't have that GameStop value anymore because it's going to be a PC unless they're going to try to put these in GameStop, right? No, your best bet is if you hope Best Buy gets it, you can put it on a 12-month plan for people who usually would trade in their consoles to get the next stuff. I do that all the time. Though I can get this no problem, but I'm just saying it's still something to think about when you think about that Project Helix now. There's no more trading in your Series X. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like that unless Microsoft somehow puts it at GameStop. But do you think this is going to happen? No, that's a console. They never sold PCs at GameStop. So I don't know if people really thought about that. That's something else to really think about. So let me know what you guys think as usual. This is kind of like meh, but it's about what I thought. So yeah, like I said, if you're excited for it, enjoy it. Like I said, game on whatever platform makes you the most happy or wherever makes you the most happy. But we're just talking about price point value proposition here. And I think you can't beat what the PS5 Pro is offering, definitely in the overpriced PC market at the moment, thanks to NVIDIA and a lot of other douches who act like they cared about gaming. But if you really do, you stick with it. But that's not the point here. Later, y'all. Peace out.